Hello and welcome to a lesson on the reported speech. In this video we're going to be focusing on why we need the reported speech, how to change tenses, situations where we don't need to change the tense, changing pronouns for the reported speech, and also changing expressions of time. And just so you know, the reported speech can also be called the indirect speech. Okay, so let's start with why we even need the reported speech. So here we have a picture of Myla and Katerina. Katerina says to Myla, "I feel so sick." The next day at school, Saskia goes over to Myla and asks her, "Hey, where's Katerina?" And Myla answers, "She said she felt so sick." So what Myla's doing here is she's retelling what Katerina said yesterday. So we use it to report back what someone else said. So now let's have a look at some of the differences between the direct speech and the reported speech. Difference number one, there are no quotation marks. So that's these red liney things at the top. Secondly, we need a reporting verb when using the reported speech. In this case, it's said. There are many other reporting verbs, not just to say. We also have to mention, to wonder, to ask, to order, and we'll have a look at those at a later point in time. The third change that happens is that we have a change in pronouns. So here, the I becomes a she. And the final important change is a change in tense. So in the direct speech we have feel, which is a present simple. And in the indirect speech we have felt, which is a past simple. So those were the four main differences, and we're now going to move to the next section, which focuses on the changes in tenses that occur with the reported speech. So what you really need to remember with the reported speech, also known as indirect speech, is that when moving from direct to indirect speech, we always take one step backwards. So this means, for example, the present simple becomes past simple. The present continuous becomes the past continuous. There is, however, one tense that doesn't change, and that's the past perfect, because the past perfect is already so far in the past that we can't go any further back. It stays that way. There are, however, some situations where we don't need to change the tenses, so we don't need to take that one step backwards. Example number one. So if the reporting verb, namely in this example it would be says, is in the present simple, then we don't need to change anything. So I am enjoying my holiday becomes Bill says he is enjoying his holiday, not Bill says he was enjoying his holiday. And then the second situation where you don't need to change anything is if the speech is made and reported at the same time. And it's still true now. So if Kelly says, "I am thirsty," and we report it back at that moment of speaking, we can say, "Kelly said she is thirsty." So we stay in the present tense. A further change that we have with the reported speech, also known as indirect speech, is with pronouns. So an I or a you becomes a he or a she. And to clarify this even more, I'm just going to give you an example of this. For example, Romeo said, "I love you," to Juliet. If we report this back, we have to make a few changes. So the reported speech becomes, Romeo said that he loved her. So the I becomes a he, and the you, in this case, becomes a her. And then finally, we also need to remember to change expressions of time. So for example, today would become that day, tomorrow, the following day, and so on. So if Kati said, I watched a movie yesterday, we need to change that. And as a reported speech, it becomes, Kati said she had watched a movie the day before. Thanks very much for watching.